Hello and welcome to this new episode of FST. In our last episode, we talked about how 99.998% of all the members of a pyramid scheme would logically end up financially worse off. So then the question is, why do pyramid schemes still look so lucrative to so many people? What is it that lures people to these dubious schemes? In this episode, we'll explore the psychological right-brain reasons of why people still join and, more surprisingly, stay despite losing their shirt in these dubious pyramid schemes. But before delving into that, let me ask you this. What's common between the ex-Prime Minister of Japan, Abe Shinzo, Jonestown, and an average member of a pyramid scheme? Well, the short answer to this is they all have had to bear the brunt of cults. Let me explain. First, let's talk about the unfortunate and untimely demise of the ex-Prime Minister of Japan, Abe Shinzo. On July 16th, Tetsuya Yamagami, the man who murdered Abe, told Japanese police officials that he had targeted the former Prime Minister due to Abe's affiliation with the Unification Church, which Yamagami blamed for bankrupting his mother due to its forceful donation practices. Cults, such as the Unification Church, more commonly called the Moonies, exercise mind control over their followers, which often leads to the followers spending their energy, time, and money for the promotion of the cult. Yamagami's mother first joined the church in 1991 after her husband's suicide in 1984. She made multiple donations to the religious group throughout her time as a devoted member, including proceeds from the sale of the family's property and house. Despite becoming bankrupt in 2002, she continued giving to the church. The family was thrown into poverty, and Yamagami was forced to give up college due to financial ruin. Yamagami reportedly planned to kill the church's religious leaders first, but changed his target to Abe after watching a video message sent by Abe to one of the Unification Church's affiliates. COVID-19 also prevented him from being able to travel to South Korea. Abe Shinzo was murdered by a man who suffered financial and emotional loss due to a cult called the Moonies. Now, let's talk about Jonestown. In 1955, Jim Jones founded the People's Temple in Indianapolis, USA. At its peak, this cult had about 20,000 members. In 1977, Jones moved the People's Temple to a settlement in the country of Guyana and named it Jonestown. In 1978, US Congressman Leo Ryan decided to visit the People's Temple's new location in Guyana in order to investigate reports of abuse of members. He was shot and killed by 4 members of the People's Temple. Jones then instructed all of his followers to drink flavor aid laced with cyanide. Over 900 dead bodies were discovered at the settlement, including Jim Jones's dead body with a bullet in his head. Now, why would Yamagami's mother give so much money to the Moonies? Normally, if someone in the street asks you for even a single penny to donate to a cult, there's a very high probability that you will run in the opposite direction at the speed of light. Similarly, why would 900 people agree to commit mass suicide? We don't even like to get an injection because it hurts a little. So why on earth would so many of these people would agree to commit something as painful as killing themselves? Turns out the creators of cults use mind control techniques to retain, brainwash, and exploit the cult members. Because of these mind control techniques used by these cults, within a very short span of time, these members of the cult become sheeple, people who don't behave as individual critical thinkers, but rather like herds of sheep. Okay, so the Moonies and the Jonestown are cults. But what about pyramid schemes? Do they also use the same mind control techniques that are used by the cults? Yes. Oftentimes, pyramid schemes use cult-like techniques to recruit, motivate, and retain new members. In this video, I'll try to explain all these techniques without using any jargon words from psychology or behavior sciences. Instead, I'll use simple everyday English. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first technique these pyramid schemes borrow from cults is what I call spotting. For the mind control technique to work, there's a very important basic requirement: a person looking for meaning at a vulnerable period in their life. Cults target people who are emotionally vulnerable. Remember, Yamagami's mother got into the Moonies after her husband's death. In fact, research suggests that an average person goes through 36 disrupting transitions or changes in the course of their lives. Each disruption has the potential of leaving us vulnerable. So each one of us goes through a vulnerable stint every 12 to 18 months. Now, most of these transitions are relatively easier to navigate. But about 10% of these become what Bruce Feiler, in his amazing book Life is in the Transitions, calls a life quake. The average person goes through 3 to 5 life quakes in their lifetime. It is during these life quakes that a person is the most vulnerable. So if you're undergoing a life quake, just be extra careful not to fall for these get rich quick schemes. The next important step is to convince these people, these targets, to come to a meeting. You're always told to come to a meeting before you join a pyramid scheme. Why do they do that? Well, it turns out by asking the person, the target, to come to a meeting, the chances of conversion are very, very high. The 1995 book, Cults in Our Midst, co-written by an ex-cult member, Lalich, provides a fantastic first-hand account of the importance of first contact. Once the target person agrees to come to a meeting, these pyramid scheme members use a very powerful technique used by cult recruiters. It's called love bombing, in which the existing members pretend to show deep caring and affection with the purpose of influencing the behavior of the target person. Love bombing is a coordinated effort, usually under the direction of the pyramid scheme leadership, that involves long-term members flooding the target person with affectionate touching, flattery, and lots of attention to their every remark. This use of love bombing results in a very trusted relationship between the old members and the target person in a very short period of time. This false belief does two things. First, it causes an emotional desire in the target person's mind to return and make more contact. Second, it creates a sense of safety in the target person's mind, and that leads to abandoning critical thinking and embracing emotional thinking. And when you abandon critical thinking, you stop asking questions, applying logic to what the group says. You just start believing in the group. The first contact, aided by unethical techniques such as love bombing, has the aim of stimulating an interest in the pyramid scheme in the shortest possible time. As soon as that interest is established, the next phase, called detaching or loosening, is initiated. Loosening or detaching is the phase during which the cult leaders start to detach the individual from his or her existing way of life. A successful way of achieving this is through inducing guilt. The way things are run in the real world is deemed evil by the cult. The individual is told by the cult that the real world is destined to be doomed, and the only way to find salvation is by joining the cult. The cult leaders induce anxieties and fears in the individual. Also, the target person is told again and again that the cult has the solution to all their life's problems. All an individual needs to do is to follow the cult practices as guided by the senior members of the cult. Now let's see how pyramid schemes apply the detaching technique. The uplines tell the potential member about how evil the existing way of selling things is, how the hard earned money of the potential member is wasted because of the money making at every step of the evil distributor, wholesaler, retailer channel. This story does two things. First, it induces a sense of unjustness and evilness of the world at large. Second, it induces a sense of guilt that the potential member couldn't see through this evil game, even though this daylight robbery was happening in front of their eyes all along. The potential member is told this tyranny of distributor, wholesaler, retailer channel can only be broken by this specific pyramid scheme. The individual is nudged into believing that joining this specific pyramid scheme is the solution to all their existing problems. First, they will have a network of lovely people for emotional support. Second, they will save a lot of money by buying directly from the producers of goods. No need to pay and support the evil distributor, wholesaler, retailer channel. Third, they will be able to make loads of money just like your future upline's upline, who, by the way, travels in an expensive car. All you need to do is join the pyramid scheme and make 5 or 6 new members. Your upline and higher ups will help you make those 5 to 6 new members. It can be anybody, your relatives, old school friends, or ex colleagues. Pay your membership fee and follow what your uplines guide you to do. Usually, by the end of this phase, the target person becomes a member of the pyramid scheme. Now starts the third phase, called behavior change. The ultimate goal of the behavior change phase is to produce a new social identity of the new member. cults use a lot of powerful techniques to effect behavior change in the new member. The four most powerful techniques for behavior change used by cults are: number one, developing a strong us versus them binary; second, group pressure; third, sensory deprivation; and fourth, information overload. Now let's see how all these techniques are used by the pyramid companies. First, developing an us versus them binary. When the new member goes out in the real world, they often find out very quickly that making new members is next to impossible. Also, friends and family of this new member try to persuade them to come out of the bubble of the pyramid scheme. Now, a demotivated and demoralized new member is bad news for pyramid scheme promoters. So, when the new member tells them about these difficulties, the uplines tell the new downline such motivational things as no great thing is initially appreciated by the society, or you're just one strike away from hitting a gold mine, etc. The new member is told that they should not listen to them who are outside the pyramid scheme because they simply are not enlightened. We are enlightened and they are not. Also, the new downline is told not to listen to his family and friends. Basically, upline convinces the downline that this new pyramid scheme is their us now. All friends, family, and colleagues are them unless they also join in. Also, the new downline is suggested to buy motivational books. So it's very highly probable that you'd find motivational books such as Seven Habits or The Secret in possession of a pyramid scheme member. Second, group pressure. Now, sometimes a new member faces logical criticism about the sustainability of these pyramid schemes. What would happen if you show my last video to a new member of a pyramid scheme? There's a high chance that they will talk about it or show it to their upline. Obviously, the upline will smile, dismiss this logical contradiction, and will ridicule the video. In most cases, the new members would believe that the logical explanation of my last video must be wrong. Why? Because of the group pressure. Because all the other members of the pyramid scheme would agree that this logical criticism must not be true. The pressure by the group subtly persuades the new member to discard this logical information. Next, sensory deprivation. In many cults, the members are involved in exhausting work routines. If cult members can't keep up with these exhausting demands, they are berated as lazy or sinful. Now, how do pyramid schemes use sensory deprivation? The moment a person joins the pyramid scheme, they're told that in order to be successful, they must religiously pitch the pyramid scheme to say two new people every day. They must also join and or organize say two group meetings every month. They must buy certain products regularly, not for consumption necessarily, but to motivate themselves to dump this piling inventory on a new member ASAP. The upline gives the downlines so many tasks that there is not much time left to do anything else. The pyramid scheme keeps the downline occupied physically and mentally all the time. If the downlines can't keep up with the demands of their uplines, they are stamped as lazy or unwilling to succeed. And once the downline gets too busy to do anything else, it becomes even more easier for the uplines to influence the behavior of the downline. Finally, information overload. During regular sessions, the cult members are bombarded with loads of information. A human being can only absorb a limited amount of information in an analytical way. When too much information is given, the followers will simply absorb all of it without using critical thinking. How do pyramid schemes use information overload? Pyramid companies use social media such as Instagram, Facebook, YouTube to create a lot of information which is not factually correct. For example, on their Instagram or Facebook feed, you can see messages where a rich looking person with a mansion or a Porsche car in the background claiming that they got all these riches thanks to the pyramid scheme. All these claims are very difficult to verify. Most of them are untrue or fake, but there are so many of them posted every single day or hour on social media or online community pages that a new member will have no time to critically analyze if the claims can actually be independently verified or not. So even though the quality of this information is questionable, as a result of this information overload, the new member pitches the pyramid scheme with more confidence. They will give out misleading information to potential members by presenting the unverifiable information as a 100% true fact. The ultimate goal of the change phase is to produce a new social identity. Repeated exposure to these techniques results in the new member changing their behavior. The person changes completely in the way the pyramid scheme wants them to change. The new member starts wearing a certain type of clothes. They start reading and watching the kind of information that benefits the pyramid scheme. And more importantly, the new member discards any information that challenges their critical thinking faculty. The final stage is what I call establish or settling down. During this phase, the follower has already redefined their life and is completely committed to the cult leaders. The new cult member has sacrificed their finances, possessions, family, and friends in order to be totally committed to the cult. All bridges have been burned, and the new member realizes that there's no support network outside of the group. So, how does this apply to pyramid schemes? This is the phase at which the new member has become totally committed to the pyramid scheme. They have, in the process of pitching the pyramid scheme, cut ties with friends and work colleagues who didn't agree to join the pyramid scheme. Most of them have lost their invested money, and they have given away a lot of time in joining these meetings and promoting these products, etc. But despite wasting away money and effort, they keep buying and piling up even more dead inventory. Why? Because they are constantly fed motivation by their uplines and other members of the pyramid scheme. Their uplines tell them the stories of how other downlines have succeeded because they kept trying hard and didn't give up. By this stage, the new member has become automatically mind controlled. The new member can't leave the pyramid scheme because they have convinced themselves that the only reason they are not successful in this pyramid scheme is because they aren't working as hard and as smart as others. Strangely enough, at this stage, instead of applying logical reasoning and seeing through the deception and lies, the person becomes even more aggressive in trying to become a successful pyramid member by hook or by crook. So at this stage, the person has established themselves in the lifestyle of the pyramid scheme. And that's how pyramid companies use cult techniques for recruiting, motivating, and retaining new members. So that was our video for today. Thank you for watching, and please like, share, and do subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.